So, what's the secret? The real secret to making learning actually stick for young teenagers? We're talking about that crazy, amazing, super high-energy age where, let's be honest, everything is changing. Well, today we are going to unpack a really powerful method that can turn abstract school subjects into unforgettable experiences.
Think about it. The middle school years are this constant balancing act, right? You've got social lives, changing bodies, brand new ideas, all hitting at once. So the big question is, how do you teach an 11 or 12-year-old a concept as abstract as balance in a way that actually means something to them? A way they can feel and understand, not just cram for a test.
And that, right there, is the huge challenge. See, the adolescent brain is going through this massive rewiring. It's moving from thinking in concrete terms to more abstract ones. And it absolutely craves connection, context, and activity. So just sitting still and listening to a lecture about a big, lofty theme, yeah, that's a really tough sell. The real mission for educators is figuring out how to grab all that incredible energy and focus it on some deep, meaningful learning.
Well, it turns out there's a pretty fascinating answer. It comes from an approach used by the International Middle Years Curriculum, or IMYC for short. It's a framework built specifically for students between 11 and 14. And they've totally rethought how to structure learning for this age, and it all kicks off with one powerful shift in thinking.
So, instead of having kids bounce from a math class to a history class to an English class all totally separate, the IMYC organizes entire units around one single central big idea. This theme, it acts like a sun in a solar system, pulling in concepts from every single subject to create this rich, connected web of knowledge.
And for the unit we're going to look at, that big idea is balance. And when you stop and think about it, it's kind of perfect for this age, isn't it? It applies to physics, to ecosystems in science, to characters in a novel, and of course, to their own lives. It's an idea that's relevant literally everywhere they look.
But a big idea on its own is just words on a page. The real magic, the secret sauce, is how you bring it to life. And that's where this amazing tool comes in. It's called the entry point, and it's all about sparking curiosity before any of the formal teaching even starts.
So, what is an entry point? Well, it's this memorable, super hands-on experience that gets students playing with the big idea on a gut level. It's built for how the teenage brain works. It needs to be active, to learn with friends, and to understand why they're about to learn something. This isn't a review or a reward at the end. It's the launchpad for the entire unit.
So, what does one of these actually look like? Well, it could be something like a Master Chef pizza competition.
Or maybe it's the classic high-stakes challenge of Operation Egg Drop. Or it could even be a series of what seem like totally random activities called Guess the Theme. Now, you're probably thinking, what in the world could making pizza or dropping eggs possibly have to do with language arts?
All right, let's connect the dots, because this is where the genius of this approach really shines. It's all about taking these fun, memorable experiences and then seamlessly tying them to some really rigorous academic stuff.
Okay, let's go back to that pizza example. How on earth does a cooking competition turn into a deep lesson on literary analysis? I know, it seems like a huge leap, but the connection is actually surprisingly direct and really powerful.
And here it is. This is brilliant. While they're making pizzas, the students figure out pretty quickly that a great pizza needs a perfect balance of ingredients, right? Too much sauce, it gets soggy. Not enough cheese, it's dry. That physical experience creates a solid mental model for an abstract idea. So now, when the teacher brings up a story, they can ask, hey, is this story balanced? Is there a good balance between the characters, the plot, and the setting? And boom, they get it instantly.
And from that simple starting point, they can take this idea of balance and apply it to much deeper, more complex things in literature. They start looking for that tension between good and evil, or joy versus sorrow. They can analyze the balance of positive and negative traits within a single complicated character. The pizza might be long gone, but that understanding of what balance feels like, that stays.
Now, here's what's so important to understand. The fun and games, they aren't the end goal. The entry point is just the very first step in a complete, super intentional learning process. It's the hook that pulls students into a much bigger, much more structured academic journey.
And this is what that whole journey looks like. Right after that exciting entry point, you have something called a knowledge harvest. That's where students share what they already think they know about the big idea. It gets their brains warmed up. Then they dive into the core subject learning, where all the teachers are connecting their lessons back to that central theme. After that comes reflection, which is so critical for making the learning personal. And it all leads up to an exit point, where they get to show what they've learned, maybe through a big group project or a presentation. It's a complete, purposeful cycle.
And don't let the fun fool you, because the results of this journey are anything but child's play. By starting with something like an egg drop or a pizza, students are ultimately working towards some highly sophisticated academic goals. We're talking about critically analyzing texts, understanding how authors use language for effect, and communicating their own complex ideas. This whole approach builds a bridge from playful engagement to really profound understanding.
It really leaves you with a powerful thought, doesn't it? This isn't just about making school more fun. It's about designing learning that lines up with how the adolescent brain actually works. And it makes you wonder, what if the first day of every single lesson was an unforgettable experience? One that wasn't just to entertain, but was designed to build the foundation for everything that comes next.